Coffee, coffee, coffee. The walking coffee being said in episode 3 of Regular Show, right before Superman beaming Mordecai and Rigby in the face with liquid coffee, or just coffee, and pretty much causing their pupils to dilate and them to hit their job so much harder so that they could raise money for their concert tickets for this pump. And according to a medical journal published by Francis O'Callaghan back in the December of 2018, the %90 of adults drink caffeine infused beverages on pretty much a daily basis, and those dosages are usually 200 milligrams or more, which is, I think, like 2 cups of coffee, something like that. At least 2 cups of what should be coffee. And going forward, yeah, I know you probably have drank coffee before. You probably know it's not good after 3, and it's like pretty much impossible to sleep on. And if you hit the gym, you might know it causes a little bit of diarrhea every now and then. And moving forward, the whole reason I went after this is because as a student athlete, I was always looking at like what I could do better outside of my sport, which was wrestling, and we did weightlifting on the side with a really cool coach. But back to my point, I just really enjoy researching stuff like that, like creatine monohydrate, beta-alanine, zinc, magnesium, all those things that help us feel a little bit better than not having them, you know. And it's not just like PEDs and stuff, it's like stuff that's actually good for us, you know. And today we're going to talk about the goods of caffeine, the bads of caffeine, and when you get to those bads of caffeine, we're going to talk about some alternatives you could turn to, because there's just so much stuff in this world that you could explore. And starting with the good, it's naturally found in starting with the good, it's naturally found in foods, most particularly chocolate, which is why you don't want to feed your dog chocolate, because it could literally give your dog a heart attack. That's why they say chocolate's poison. Not really like a little piece of chocolate. It's not like chocolate's like, oh, this super concentrated caffeinated food, you know. It's just a little bit. Dark chocolate will for sure have some more, because it has more of actual chocolate, not just like the milk and the sugar, you know. But back to my point, it's found naturally, just like creatine is found in meat. So it's not really some man-made chemical you're putting into your body. And besides that, the way the whole energy boost works is that you have your adenosine receptor in your brain, which pretty much receives adenosine, which is like signals to your neurons, which is like little receivers in your brain that like tells you what to do. You know, your brain's always sending, receiving messages. But back to my point, adenosine receptors get blocked by caffeine, so adenosine cannot be received. So therefore your brain just doesn't know when it's tired. It's not getting told it's tired, so you're able to work through longer hours and work harder and not feel as fatigued. Moving forward, I'm gonna bring up some stuff from a peer-reviewed journal of food and science written by M.A. Heckman, published in the spring of 2016. And from that journal, I learned that the average half-life of caffeine is 5 hours, but that can vary from person to person, how often you drink, your body weight, your gender, etc., etc. And some more facts from, or pretty much facts from that journal, is that it enhances your mood, your cognitive function, which could include like just driving, looking around. You're just you're just more alert, you know. So when you're more alert, you're usually gonna be better at things. Besides that, it is associated with reducing your chances of getting skin cancer approximately like 20%. I think it was 21% to be exact. But that's a plus. And then moving away from the whole. Oh, actually, one more thing I almost forgot about caffeine. It's a natural diuretic which could help with water retention if you're feeling a little bit bloated, you had too much salt, too much burgers, too much fries. And it could also help alleviate constipation if taken in more heavier doses, which, like, if any of you have taken pre-workout, you will know it can hit you pretty hard. Now, moving on from the good foot, we had a pretty good introduction to caffeine, pretty good reputation, but now we're gonna have to show its true colors, sadly. So first and foremost, caffeine, just like a lot of other things that can be addictive, the withdrawal symptoms are not exactly pretty. That could also include cognitive function, emotional and behavioral processes. Besides that, it could lead to like work injuries because you're going to be tired, withdrawals, headaches, etc., etc. Right there. Now let's talk sleep. There's a possibility of it naturally messing with your, what is it called? Circadian rhythm, which is basically like, I don't know, oh, you should know that every morning you wake up at approximately the same time because your body gets used to waking up at a certain time and going to sleep at a certain time. And if you take caffeine, it could really mess up that cycle, really confuse your body, which is overall not that good for you. Besides that, it could interfere with your REM sleep, which is essentially your deep sleep, and your dreaming. So if you like dreaming, you might want to be careful with your caffeine. Besides that, some people rely on caffeine to replace their sleep completely, which is also very terrible because sleep is when your body repairs itself and such. Moving forward, if you take too much caffeine at once, you could also end up with really extreme headaches, vomiting at times, and on very rare occasions there has been some deaths from overdosing on caffeine. So you definitely want to not abuse it because that's your life over a cup of coffee. Like, that's no joke. Now, let's look at some alternatives so that doesn't happen, and you know that if you need to stay up or anything like that, you could just look at other things to do. You know, it's not just caffeine, that's not it. My first recommendation is kombucha, which is basically like a probiotic drink. It makes you burp a little bit, it's a little bit bitter, just like coffee. But I think that part's pretty good because if you're used to drinking coffee, that might help like maintain your routine. You're not changing your life completely, like stepping away from coffee, you know. And it also has probiotics, which is good if you eat a lot of artificial sweeteners like low-calorie drinks, which aren't exactly good for your gut health. And it also has acetic acid, which helps eliminate bad bacteria in your body. So it's not just like destroying your gut health, because it also has probiotics. So it's pretty much cleaning your body and replacing your gut bacteria, which is really good for you. Besides that, I would recommend B vitamins, which helps with breaking down food in your body. And the next suggestion would be carb cycling, which is basically eating your sugars, your breads, your tortillas, your fruit, your vegetables earlier on in the day, and so you'll have energy throughout the day rather than drinking a cup of coffee in the morning. And yeah, so it could be really good for us and it could be really bad for us, but it's not the only thing for us. So today we talked about how nature made caffeine. It can be good for us, but it could also be bad for us, and you don't have to rely on caffeine just for your energy, you know. And so if you're ever staying up binge watching regular show episode 3 or something like that, or staying up to do your homework or playing a competitive match in a video game, just know that there are other healthier alternatives. And caffeine is awesome, but when enough is enough, kombucha has the same touch.